Thank you for joining us today. Before diving into the main topic, we recommend exploring our other channel's latest video, which examines whether psychics are genuine or merely scams. It's a thought-provoking piece that challenges common assumptions, especially after watching our previous episode, where 3 murders were reportedly solved by psychics, an intriguing story that might make you question everything you believe about their abilities. A link to that video will be provided at the end of this one. Now, let's turn to today's subject. We want to highlight our incredible sponsor, Magellan TV, a premier streaming service specializing in documentaries. If you're searching for a meaningful last-minute gift, consider giving someone the gift of knowledge through a Magellan TV gift card. Since these cards are available online, there's less risk of delays or loss in the mail, making them a convenient choice. Magellan TV stands out as the top-rated documentary platform on the Google Play Store, offering a vast array of films across numerous genres. For true crime enthusiasts, it's a treasure trove, featuring an extensive collection of gripping documentaries. Recently, I watched a compelling film titled I Shot My Parents, which explores the complex case of 14-year-old Nathan Brooks, who in 2013 shot his parents in the head. Remarkably, both survived, and his parents had to grapple with the trauma while facing their son's attempted murder charges. This documentary is particularly noteworthy because it provides the victim's perspective, a rare element in true crime stories. Its depth and thoughtfulness make it a must-see for fans of the genre. Magellan TV is currently offering a special deal, 30 days of free access for new viewers. To take advantage of this opportunity, visit try.Dominislan TV. In the summer of 1975, life was going smoothly for 19-year-old Lindy Sue Beakler. She had been married to her husband, Philip, for about a year, and their relationship was reportedly filled with love. The couple resided in a modest one-bedroom apartment in Manor Township, Pennsylvania. Philip, an art student, also worked at a car rental agency, while Lindy was employed at a local floral shop. Initially hired as a secretary, she soon took on additional tasks such as washing windows and cleaning, eventually developing a passion for floral arrangements, which she told friends and family was the best job she had ever had. On the evening of December 5th, 1975, Lindy finished her shift around 5:15, then stopped by her husband's workplace to pick up his paycheck. After cashing it, she went grocery shopping and returned home sometime between 6:30 and 7. That same evening, her husband Philip was working. Around 7:40, Lindy's aunt and uncle arrived at her apartment and made a chilling discovery. The floor and walls were soaked in blood. In the living room lay Lindy's body, a butcher knife embedded in her neck. The medical examiner later revealed she had been stabbed 19 times across her chest, abdomen, and neck, using 2 knives. The larger 8-inch butcher knife, which hung on the kitchen wall, was found at the scene, but the second weapon was missing. On the kitchen table, grocery bags still contained the shopping, indicating she was attacked shortly after arriving home. Her jeans were unbuttoned, her zipper undone, and her underwear was stained with semen, suggesting a violent assault that followed her into the apartment. Law enforcement faced significant challenges in identifying a suspect. Philip had an airtight alibi, being at work all evening, and no one in Lindy's circle could recall anyone who might have wanted to harm her. She was known as a quiet, kind woman with no enemies, and her family and friends found it difficult to imagine anyone with a motive for such violence. More than a year later, on December 26, 1976, Lindy's family made a somber discovery. Her headstone had been vandalized and spray-painted red, chipped and battered. Over the next 4.5 decades, police interviewed nearly 300 individuals and even formed a special task force to investigate her murder. They sought help from psychic investigators, hoping to find new leads. In a breakthrough in 2019, authorities enlisted the assistance of a genetics laboratory, which analyzed DNA from Lindy's underwear. Using this evidence, they generated 2 composite images of the potential killer, one depicting a man at around 25 and another at approximately 65 years old. Parabon Nanolabs suggested that the perpetrator was likely of Southern European or Middle Eastern descent. His family history probably traced back from Italy along the northern Mediterranean coast, possibly reaching as far east as Iran. The suspect's physical features were believed to include a fair complexion without freckles, hazel eyes, and dark hair. Despite these clues, composite sketches failed to lead to any arrests. The investigation then shifted to forensic genealogy, with renowned genetic genealogist C.C. Moore, tracing the suspect's family roots to Gasparina, Italy. She also discovered that around the time of the crime, approximately 2,300 individuals of Italian ancestry resided in the Manor Township area. Narrowing her search to descendants of Gasparina, Moore identified a potential suspect, 68-year-old David Snopley, who lived in East Hanfield Township with his wife for 4 decades. Snopley was employed as a press operator at a printing plant and had a criminal record, including a single conviction from 2003 for invasion of privacy after he was caught spying on a woman tanning nude. He pleaded guilty and received a year's probation. At the time of the murder, Snopley was 22 years old, residing in the same apartment complex as the victim, Lindy. Authorities began surveillance in February of 2022, observing him at Philadelphia International Airport with his wife and another couple. They watched him drink coffee and discard the cup, which was later collected for DNA analysis. The DNA from the cup matched the genetic material found on Lindy's underwear. On July 17th of 2022, nearly 47 years after Lindy Sue Beakler's death, David Snopley was arrested and charged with her murder. No trial date has yet been announced. Turning to another case, in spring of 1998, Jennifer Brickman, age 19, lived with her father in Marysville, Washington. She was known for her sociability, often approaching strangers for conversation, and enjoyed using telephone dating and chat lines. She frequented the local library, chatting online in various chat rooms. In mid-March, her father planned a trip to California with his girlfriend. Initially, Jennifer intended to go along, but ultimately decided to stay home alone. On March 13th, her father and his companion left for their vacation. When they returned on March 21st, they made a gruesome discovery. Jennifer was found dead in her bedroom, having been murdered with an axe. The weapon was recovered at the scene. Initially, investigators suspected that Jennifer might have met her killer through phone or internet interactions, but they could not confirm this. DNA testing was conducted on the axe, revealing foreign genetic material. However, due to the technological limitations of the time, further analysis was hindered, leaving the case unresolved. The case initially lacked sufficient evidence to create a definitive profile, and despite ongoing efforts, it soon went cold. However, the Marysville Police Department maintained that their investigation remained a top priority, continuously working on solving the murder. In 2020, they enlisted Parabon Nanolabs to analyze the evidence, including the murder weapon, which led to the development of a genetic profile. 2 years later, in 2022, they employed genetic genealogy techniques, which ultimately pointed them toward a suspect, Jeffrey Paul Primo, who was 28 at the time of the crime. Primo came under suspicion because authorities found a letter from him in the possession of the victim's friend, Brickman. The police learned that Primo and Brickman had initially connected through a telephone chat line, and there was evidence suggesting Primo had interacted with Brickman multiple times. Although Primo was questioned after the murder, he claimed he had never met Brickman in person. To confirm his involvement, investigators obtained a DNA sample from Primo's home in Washington, about 45 miles south of Marysville. On November 28, 2022, Primo voluntarily provided a DNA sample, leading to his arrest. At age 52, Jeffrey Paul Primo was charged with the murder of Jennifer Brickman, a crime committed over 24 years earlier. Primo chose not to speak about the case, leaving the motive unresolved. In a different case, 23-year-old Shannon Rose Lloyd was known for her adventurous spirit and tomboyish nature, with a love for horses. In May of 1986, Lloyd was living in a house in Garden Grove, California. Just before midnight on May 21st, an intruder entered her room and found her dead. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Neighbors recalled that Lloyd sometimes received visits from rough-looking individuals, but police never identified a suspect, and the case eventually went cold. In 2003, DNA profiling was conducted, and a match was found. However, it did not lead to a suspect, but was linked to another cold case. Nearly 2 years later, in February of 1989, 27-year-old Renee Cuevas was discovered dead near the Marine Corps Air Station in El Toro, Irvine, California. The two locations are about 13 miles apart, both within Orange County. Details of Cuevas's murder were not publicly disclosed, and no new suspects emerged from the investigation. In 2021, the Orange County District Attorney's Office's genetic genealogy team revisited these cases. Their efforts pointed to a potential suspect, Reuben J. Smith. During the 1980s, Smith lived in Orange County before moving to Las Vegas in the 1990s. In 1998, he was arrested for attacking another woman, raping her, and attempting to kill her. However, the charges were dismissed after she escaped. Smith died by suicide in 1999. A DNA sample was obtained from him, but because he was never convicted, his genetic information was never entered into any database. When Reuben Smith was identified as a potential suspect in the murders of Shan Lloyd and Renee Cuevas, authorities collected a DNA sample from his file. This sample was then compared to DNA evidence recovered from the crime scenes, and the results confirmed a match. Such a connection suggests that Smith may have been a serial killer, prompting investigators to search for additional victims. However, at present, they regard the cases of Shan Lloyd and Renee Cuevas as resolved and consider those murders closed. Thank you for watching today's update. If you're interested in more stories like this, consider exploring our new channel dedicated to paranormal topics. There's a link on the screen now, as well as in the description below. That's all for today. We appreciate your time and attention.